Neil from Essex here with a new mower from Laneshark. Laneshark has always kind of looked away at trying to address one of the most common and challenging problems that people have around their properties, and that's reaching off the side of a pond bank, reaching over a roadside in order to take care of mowing chores. And they had developed several years ago the Laneshark, a mower that can attach onto your front loader that can offset and reach out into some of those challenging places. That mower is great, it gets the job done, but there's a number of places that people have always asked for improvement. And so now Laneshark has come out with this, the Hammerhead mower, that takes a lot of those functions that you used to have to struggle with mechanically and now can operate them hydraulically.
Essex, a helping hand with your land.
So I'll give you a quick demo here of exactly what this motion looks like. Both Lanesharks, be it the old LS3, LS4 model or this new one, the Hammerhead, are going to reach into the same area, but they're going to do it in a different way. This new model now has a small difference in the swing arm that brings the mower out. The older model would have swung in almost a circular motion here on that front plate, and when you wanted to swing it to the side, you curled the thing forward, pulled a pin, and then mechanically would swing it around. This one, though, uses a parallel bar linkage to come out to the side just like that, using a hydraulic cylinder with a switch that I'm able to operate up here in the seat. Now on the old Laneshark, when you wanted to go and say reach down over a contour or cut horizontal or cut vertically up on a hedge bank, you would have had to again walk out, pull a pin, and then swing the weight of that mower up into position and pin it back in place. But again, now we've got a hydraulic system that we can go a little below grade or come up here into a vertical position. Shouldn't even say near vertical position in order to cut up and down. So now all of this stuff that would have required you getting on and off the tractor and manipulating this mower that weighs 250 pounds or so in and of itself can be done up here from the seat of your machine. In order to make this thing work, there's a number of mechanical and electrical things here that had to come together to make all these things function. And that does come along with some cost. We'll get that out of the way here now. This new mower is 2.5 times the price of what the old one was. The deck is very much the same, the hydraulic motor that drives it. But you can see a lot here, probably why the reason is for that. This hydraulic manifold here is what's doing all of the work. And this just isn't off-the-shelf parts. Laneshark's name is stamped into the side of this, so this must be a manifold that they needed to get custom manufactured in order to achieve what they're looking for here. It functions differently than what you might expect. On the old mower, when you wanted to turn this thing on, you hit the two buttons on your control box, you start the hydraulic flow out to it, and the blades immediately start to spin. This one, though, doesn't work that way. When you turn the hydraulics on, it very simply starts to cycle the fluid through this valve manifold, and then using an on-off switch for the mower, or the two switches that are going to operate the two hydraulic cylinders, you're going to operate these electronic solenoid valves here. They're going to pipe the oil down the right hose in order to operate these functions. So there's a lot going on here in this manifold that makes all of that happen. I'm really super impressed looking around these pieces and seeing like quality in everything, right? The pieces here are all Delta Power hydraulics. There are gates, hoses here running out to everything. There's sleeves and rubber protection wrapped around all the hoses the whole way out. And every hose and electrical connection is labeled. Right here are the pressure lines coming in from the tractor, the lines that are the pressure lines for the motor. Each one of the cylinders is labeled. All the electrical connections here are labeled. If you have to debug this thing, or you're trying to install it onto a tractor with, say, some custom hydraulics or different electrical configurations that you might want to work up yourself, it will be very easy because of the work here that they've done. All this stuff is also located behind this big shield. I pulled some bolts out of this here to open this up, but these things are all really well protected. So even though you've got a lot of guts here out on the end of your loader trying to do some mowing chores, everything is well protected. One of the biggest considerations in installing any Laneshark mower onto your tractor is the way the hydraulic kits are put together. When one of these things is running and you have this big heavy blade spinning out on the mower that's hydraulically driven, it's really important that the hydraulic return line dumps back to tank. And basically what that's meaning is it's dumping back to a place on the tractor where there's no valve, there's no restriction, because that spinning blade needs to be able to dump its oil, get rid of its oil freely whenever it needs to. In order to achieve that, W.R. Long makes a third function valve for Laneshark called the C-Flow. And that C-Flow kit has two traditional pressure ports on it that you would normally have on a third function, but it has a third one over here on the side that's the return line. That dumps that pressure back to tank. If you have a existing W.R. Long third function kit, there's an upgrade that you can put onto it for this C-Flow return. Outside of that, if you're going to try to integrate with an existing third function kit, you need to talk to us or a dealer because you need to make sure you tap the hydraulic line into the back place of the transmission to return that oil. So installing these things is important. The Hammerhead mower, though, has an additional option on here. You're going to notice this electrical connector, right? This is what goes up to operate those solenoid valves up in that block on the front. It's going to have this nice heavy connector, big substantial gold-plated pins on there. When you put that in there, that gives you that electrical flow out to the front. So taking this on and off of your tractor once the initial installation is done is really easy. Two normal hydraulic hoses to unhook, this one electrical line, and you can drive right away from this mower. Operating the mower up here is fairly straightforward. Now we're starting here with a traditional third function kit, right? So up on my loader stick, I have my switches that are gonna operate the two pressure ports just like they always would for any other implement. But for the mower, I'm actually not going to use them at all. In order to turn the mower on, you have this little control box that Laneshark created that they ship with their custom third function kits. This is going to come along with the Hammerhead mower because it's needed for the two switches that are on here. So if you're going to try to integrate this thing with another company's third function, you probably have some creativity in this wiring to do to make everything work. But as I showed you, everything is beautifully labeled. The first button on here is going to turn the system on and simply kind of powers up the box. Also kind of functions as a safety switch to make sure you don't bump the things on here accidentally. So this is going to allow you to turn everything on and off. The next button right beside it is going to be the button that turns the mower itself on and off. So it will engage and disengage the hydraulic motor that runs out there. This is a little bit different than how the switch box works on the LS3 and LS4 models. Beside it are two new buttons that are exclusive to the Hammerhead, in and out and up and down, and those buttons are going to operate the mower itself and move those hydraulic cylinders. Now, like I said earlier, I think the coolest thing to this to me was that I'm able to operate these hydraulic cylinders without the hydraulic motor running. They probably could have cut some corners here and had a little one less solenoid valve segment out there by having that motor spinning at all times and then diverting fluid to the cylinders using these buttons. But it wasn't done that way. This is nice that I'm able to put the mower in place without it spinning and be able to toggle it on and off with this simple button. When you install this switch box, you choose on your tractor where it goes. On our machine here, we have it off here to the side. If I was going to install it onto another tractor or onto my own, I would probably put it out here somewhere more in front of me where it's a little bit easier to push these buttons. Coming back here behind to my side, while it's convenient and out of the way, it's not the easiest to push the buttons. So think that through if you're doing the installation. The ergonomics of the whole thing are going to be in a place that you can push those buttons a little bit easier. We're going to spend some time here with this mower in operation to give you a little idea of some of the things that it's good for. But before we do that, one thing that I was noticing here was as I take the thing from being out at the side and bringing it back to center, you need to be more or less flat in order for it to come the whole way back into the mower. And you hear that bang there, that good metal on metal, and the thing's the whole way back. That's what you want to hear. If you're a little bit off, you say you're up here to the side a little bit and you bring this thing back in, it's not going to rest into its home correctly. But I'm not finding any situations where you're actually going to damage something, which is what I was worried about. The hoses and everything are tied up well enough. Everything is kind of kept out of the way to a point that if you're a little off on your level here when you bring this thing back into its home position, to its center position, you're not going to catch something. But even there, like my sight line down to here is such that I have a hard time knowing exactly where I am. So that's in its right spot. So not a big deal, but a little challenging to do from the seat. So I'm going to do a little bit of mowing here on this area where my yard comes out. It meets the woods here a little bit. So I'm going to take the controls here and swing this to the out position, and then swing it up so that I'm able to cut vertically and raise my loader up here a little. Now, this is one of those positions that you would just never be able to get another attachment into, which I think is testament to what Laneshark does. And then we're going to reach out here and hit the motor button and turn that on, and then rev my tractor up. And just like you would use a brush hog driving along the ground, we can use it here vertically just to drive right down this line and trim up all these trees that are growing out into the yard and making it difficult for me to mow. Now this is obviously one of the more dangerous implements to run, right? By having open blades up in the air like this, you can throw debris, you can hit stuff you don't intend to. There's warnings all over the thing, right? Be smart when you operate it. One thing that you want to watch here is when the system is on and you spin this motor up, you get those blades spinning, you bring them up to speed. When you shut the motor off, you can see there it takes a couple of seconds for the blades to stop. One cool addition on this mower now is that if I get off the seat, this control box is tied to my seat switch and it will automatically cut things off if I get out the machine. That's going to prevent the operator from walking up to this thing, maybe trying to manipulate something, pull out something that might have got stuck if those blades are still spinning. So I think that's a really cool improvement in terms of safety of operating the Laneshark. The bigger your tractor, the higher you can reach, right? 50, 60 horsepower kind of mid-frame machines are where this mower makes the most sense. That's awesome. When you can mow like this, you start to understand why people like these things. So while that's cutting vertical, you're also able to, say, cut over the side of a roadside or a pond. And again, using the switches here. You can see here when I extend that hydraulic cylinder the whole way, I actually get a little bit of negative angle over there that allows me to kind of follow that contour. There's a little difference here between the old LS models and this, and the way that this linkage works. When this swings back and forth with these parallel arms, it kind of comes straight out, straight back as the thing's moving out, right? The old ones swung in a circular fashion, and those arms probably gave it a little bit more below grade reach than what this does. So I'm not sure that the angle here is quite the same as what the old model was. However, my biggest frustration and concern with people running these things is when they're over the side like this and they don't have great control over where the mower is at. You think of the loads, the torque that's put on your loader if you happen to hit something down there, and this isn't a mower that's made to contour. It doesn't get drug across the ground. You're supposed to hold it and float it. And if you don't have the angles just right, floating the thing well and cutting well can be challenging. This, though, really changes that equation because you're able to drop this thing down exactly where you want to get it good and close to the ground, and then just simply operate that hydraulic cylinder as needed in order to follow the contour. Another area I've been wanting to work in here for a while is cleaning up underneath these trees, right? Trees can be a pain to work around, especially with your roll bar up here catching limbs. And by having the mower out here on the end of the loader, I can reach that loader into those hard to get places. So if I reach up here, turn on my system, flip on my mower, rev my tractor up because this is more grassy. I want those revs. I can push into these areas out here and clean up this brush, just like I would with a brush hog. You know, rather than having trying to run over things first with your tractor before a mower, a flail, or a brush hog on the back would catch them and mow. With the Laneshark here out in front of the loader, you can mow out in front of yourself. Now remembering, these decks are 3 or 4 foot wide depending on the model. So you do have to do some front and back, right? Drive up into an area, clean it out, back up, reorient yourself, center the mower again for the next pass and drive back in. You're not gonna make like long passes as if you were continually clearing an area quite like you could with, say, a 6 or 7 foot mower behind a tractor like this. Another difference you should know is on hydraulically powered mowers. They behave differently when you strike debris. When you have like a rotary cutter or something shaft driven, you usually have shear pins or slip clutches in those drive lines, so when they're hitting things, they don't tear stuff up. Hydraulic motors, though, behave totally differently, right? When they hit something, they hit a rock, you get a stump or something, the motor is just simply gonna stall out and stop. That excess fluid is gonna run out the drain line, and things will come to a stop much more nicely. It takes that kind of abuse much, much better than a drive line would. You'll actually see some hydraulically run rotary cutters in industrial applications. We sell to some airports and municipalities and stuff that will actually choose, 15 and 20 foot hydraulically powered motors for that reason, because it's easier on the equipment when they're striking things frequently than what a drive line is. One thing that I wish I had here on this tractor that I don't is a bucket level indicator. From my seat back here, it's really hard to see out to the mower to know whether it's level or not. That is an option on this tractor. We just don't have it installed on here. But if I had one of these mowers, I absolutely would like to have it, because it's difficult to know exactly how my mower is angled in proportion to my tractor. Most of our conversation about reach here has been in the horizontal sense, right? Kind of driving along something. But you can see here, this is a dry stream bed here. I can also reach forward with the mower too, so when I want to reach down into this stream bed and kind of clean up the side, I can angle my mower front, I could drive in with my loader, I could drop it down. I don't know how any other attachment would be able to reach into this area and trim this up. I've been wanting to work at this for a while because my kids play down in here. Four-wheel drive is needed. So right when we reach forward, we can drop the loader down the whole way. We can angle the mower down. We can reach down into this stream bed. Kind of clean the sides up here a little bit. I mentioned before that Laneshark generally wants about a 3,000 pound tractor or so in order to operate one of these mowers. But you can certainly do better than that, right? Tractor setup is so important in the use of any implement. You can look at the machine that we have here today. This is a 60 horse Kubota MX series machine. The rear tires here are filled with fluid, so I have a lot of ballast behind me as I'm lifting and shaking this big heavy mower around. I have a rototiller on the back of the tractor that I'm going to be using here this weekend that's giving me even more weight back behind the machine. So balancing out this mower with the weight out in front of the tractor, but also the weight coming off the side, if you can manage things like wheel spacers, fluid in the tires, that kind of stuff, are going to give you a lot of stability. With this setup here, there's nothing that I've done out here that's even given me a second thought about where I was reaching that mower into. But if you're dealing with a smaller tractor, definitely put setup in mind, because you're putting weight in places where it might upset the balance of your machine. So now that we're done with the video, I got to tell the story of all my Laneshark shirts. Laneshark sent us a handful of shirts with an order sometime, and we kind of passed them out around the company. And one of these green Laneshark shirts became my favorite shirt. They're so soft, they're comfortable, they stretch right. It's the shirt, like when you get out of the shower and you're gonna sit down and watch TV, this is the shirt that you wanna put on. And I wore it everywhere. Disney World, you name it, it was me in a Laneshark shirt. Until one day when I was out working in the garage and I accidentally spilled gasoline all down my shirt and just couldn't get the smell out of it and it had to go in the trash. So I emailed the fine folks at Laneshark and told them how wonderful I thought their shirts were. And they responded with not one, but 2, 3, 4, 5 Laneshark shirts that I'm not giving to anybody else. I'm gonna wear every one of them. So thank you guys for sharing your shirts. So that's a little bit on the Laneshark Hammerhead mower. Cool setup. The original Lanesharks without all this hydraulic stuff on it are fantastic mowers that solve a difficult problem, right? If we think through the other equipment that can do this kind of work, the options are very few. And being able to take that mower and make it so much easier to use with these additional hydraulic features really kind of elevates the utility of this thing, right? It makes it a lot easier to use, a lot more functionality from the seat without having to get on and off all the time, and a lot less manipulating of this heavy mower deck into these kind of unique positions. So they've done some great work with this mower. It's a costly thing, but there's certain applications out there that are gonna call for this, and we're happy to be able to set these things up now for customers. This one sold before I even had the chance to make this video because somebody stumbled around and saw it at the store, so I think that's pretty cool. So if you're shopping for a piece of equipment and we can help, or if you have parts or service needs for a machine you've already got, give us a call at Messick's. We're available at 800-222-3373 or online at messick's.com. We'll start going for multiple shirts now. We're gonna add another one in every shot.